Welcome to the Stylark Studio. Today we'll be sewing the Flossy Woven Scrubs Set. This is a gender neutral pattern, but we do have an option for a bust dart, and there's lots of other little bells and whistles on these scrubs, so I'll talk you through them now. We've got loops here for utility. We've got a V-neck with top stitching, a pocket here with a pen section, two front pockets, a double yoke at the back with a box pleat, and side splits at the hem here. We also have a hat included in this pattern which has a drawstring tie, and the pants feature an elastic waist, utility loops at the waist here as well, angled pockets with top stitching and a coin pocket on the inside of the left pocket, a double pocket on the outer left leg, top stitched outer leg seams, and we have a plain cuff option or an elasticated cuff option on the pant. And I'm going to take you through all of these steps. So let's get all of your pattern pieces cut out and your instructions ready, and we'll get started sewing. Before we begin, it's a great idea to have a read through of the helpful hints section on your construction notes. We also have a step-by-step photo tutorial available on stylark.com. Let's get started. We'll begin by sewing the top, and for this tutorial I'm sewing the darted version. A pro tip to begin with, I've drawn my dart legs in with a heat erasable pen so that I can pin the dart together, matching the lines. With right sides together, align the bust dart notches and pin the dart. Sew and then press the dart downwards. Sew a stay stitch to the front reg or darted front neck opening to prevent stretching. We'll now move on to sewing the pockets. Neaten the top edge of the chest pocket and two large pockets using an overlocker or serger. Fold the top edge of the pocket over so the right sides are facing, following the fold line on the pattern. Sew down each side of the turnover. Clip the corners and turn the pocket out to the right side and press. Fold the remaining outer edges of the pocket 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch to the inside and press. Edge stitch along the inner folded edge to hold the turn back in place. Pin the pockets to the front left side and the 2 large pockets as shown on the pattern. Pro tip: place a pin or 2 in the middle of each pocket to keep them flat while sewing around the edges. Once in place, stitch the pocket into place with an edge stitch, securing the top corners with a reinforcing stitch. Sew a vertical top stitch to the left or right side of the chest pocket for a pen. See the marking on the pattern. We'll now move on to sewing the yoke. For the back box pleat, fold the pleats in the direction indicated by the arrows and notches on the pattern. Pin the pleats into place with the pin vertical to the seam and press the box pleat into place. Baste the top of the pleat. With right sides together, sew the back yoke pair together at the neck opening using a 6mm or 1/4 inch seam. We have used a contrasting fabric for the inner yoke just for a fun look, along with the utility loops for the pant and the top. If you prefer, you can use the burrito method to sew your yoke. You can see a tutorial on stylelike.com on how to complete this. Clip into the curved seam to release the fabric, then press the seam towards the inner yoke. Sew an understitch on the side of the inner yoke. Press the bottom seam allowance of the outer yoke 1 cm or 3/8 of an inch to the inside. Pin the right side of the inner yoke to the wrong side of the back and sew together. Press the seam towards the yoke, then pin the pre-pressed outer yoke seam to the right side of the back and edge stitch into place. Then sew a second row of 6 mm or 1/4 inch top stitching. Press. Now we'll move on to the neckband. With wrong sides together, press the front neck pair in half lengthways and baste the raw edges together to hold in place. Lay the ends of the front neck on top of each other, crossing right over left for women's and left over right for men's. Baste the V of the neckband together. Carefully clip into the seam at the V at the centre front of the body. Then, with right sides together, pin the neckband to the neck of the front body, matching the centre front V-neck to the pointed crossover section of the neckband. Sew using a 6mm or 1/4 inch seam. Then neaten with an overlocker or serger. Press towards the body. Sew an edge stitch close to the seam around the neck on the side of the body. Now we can begin sewing the main body. With right sides together, fold the loops in half lengthways and sew along the long edge using a 6mm or 1/4 inch seam. Turn out to the right side and press. Cut into 4 pieces and set 2 aside for the pants. Fold 2 of the loops in half and pin to the front shoulder seams at the notches and baste into place. Separate the back yokes at the shoulders. With right sides together, pin the front to the back at the shoulders, the outer fabric only. The inner yoke is left out of this step and sew together. Turn the inner yoke shoulder seam 1 cm or 3/8 of an inch to the inside and press. Pin the inner yoke into place to the underside of the shoulder seam and top stitch into place. Pro tip: Place your pins vertically to the seam so that you can sew slowly over them from the right side of the fabric for a neat finish. Sew a long ease stitch to the head of the sleeve and draw in slightly. This will make it easier to fit into the arm opening. With right sides together and notches aligned, pin the sleeve to the armhole. Sew together and then neaten using an overlocker or serger and press towards the body. Sew a 6mm or 1/4 inch top stitch to the seam on the side of the body. Neaten the lower part of each side seam separately from the hem to approximately 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch above the split notch, using an overlocker or serger. Pin the back to the front at the side seam and undersleeve seam. Starting at the sleeve hem, sew the undersleeve and side seam, finishing at the notch indicating the split. Neaten using an overlocker or serger as far as the previously neatened edges. Press towards the back. Double turn the seam allowance of the splits to the inside at the notches and press. Top stitch the splits into place and make a bar tack at the top of the split to add strength to this high impact area. Neaten the back and front hems separately using an overlocker or serger. Turn to the inside 3 centimeters or 1 3/16 of an inch. Press and top stitch. and give your hem a nice press. Neaten the sleeve hems using an overlocker or serger. Turn the sleeve hems to the inside 3 cm or 1 3/16 of an inch and press and top stitch. And press your sleeve hems. Trim any loose threads and carefully press your new top. Let's start sewing the pants. We'll begin with the pockets. Neaten the top edges of the 3 back inner side pant pockets and 2 large pockets using an overlocker or serger. Please note that I've forgotten one of my back inner side pant pockets at this stage. I'm also sewing the coin pocket at the same time. Fold the top edge of each pocket over so that the right sides are facing, following the fold line on the pattern. Sew down each side of the turnover. Clip the corners and turn the pocket out to the right side and press. Sew only the straight edge of the coin pocket. Edge stitch along the inner folded edge to hold the turn back in place. Fold the remaining outer edges of the pocket 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch to the inside and press. Fold the straight edge of the coin pocket to the inside at the notch and press. With the right side up and notches aligned, pin the coin pocket to the right side of the pocket bearer on the wearer's left side. Edge stitch the straight edge of the coin pocket into place and baste the raw pocket edges together. With right sides together and notches aligned, pin the pocket bearer to the pant pocket bag at the curved seam. Sew and then neaten using an overlocker or serger. With right sides together, pin the angled edge of the pocket bag to the angled edge of the pocket opening on the front pant and sew. Fold the pocket bag so that it is wrong sides together with the front pant and press the seam flat. Sew along the angled seam with a 6mm or 1/4 inch top stitch. Baste the pocket bag and pocket bearer to the waist seam and the side seam of the front pant. Fold 2 of the loops in half and pin to the front pant at the waist seam at the notches and baste into place. With right sides together, sew the front pant to the back pant at the side seams. Neaten using an overlocker or serger. Press towards the back. Sew a 6mm or 1/4 inch top stitch to the seam on the back side. Pin the inside pocket bags out of the way, then pin 2 of the back/inner pockets to the back pant and 1 over the side seam on the wearer's left as shown on the pattern. Once in place, sew the 3 sides of the pocket into place with an edge stitch, then a second 6mm or 1/4 inch top stitch, securing the top corners with a reinforcing stitch or bar tack. Take care not to catch the inner pocket bags as you sew. Please note I have not sewn the second row of top stitching in this example. Pin the large pocket over the side seams and the inner pocket on the left side as shown on the pattern and sew the 3 sides of the pocket into place with an edge stitch, and again with a 6mm or 1/4 inch top stitch, securing the top corners with a reinforcing stitch or bar tack. Let's move on to the waistband. With right sides together, sew the short ends of the waistband together, creating a loop. Press the seam open. Fold the waistband in half lengthways with wrong sides together and press. Cut the elastic to your preferred personal length, or refer to the measurement chart for cut length, and overlap the cut ends by 2 cm or 3/4 of an inch and sew together securely, creating a loop. Place the elastic band inside the waistband and pin the raw edges together and baste, being careful not to catch the elastic as you sew. Ensure the elastic is sitting evenly inside the waistband and sew a vertical stitch at the side seams and centre back to prevent rolling, and then set the waistband aside. We'll now move on to the main body. With right sides together, sew the front to the back at the in-leg seam. Neaten using an overlocker or serger. Press towards the back. With right sides together, sew the crotch seams together. Start at the front waist, sew down to the base of the crotch, and then continue sewing up the back crotch, finishing at the back waist. Neaten using an overlocker or serger. Press to one side. Sew a 6mm or 1/4 inch top stitch to the seam. With right sides together and notches aligned, pin the waistband to the top of the pants. Using a zipper presser foot to sew nice and close to the elastic, sew the waistband into place. Then neaten using an overlocker or serger and press down. Neaten the hems of the pants using an overlocker or serger. Turn the pant hems to the inside 3 centimeters or 1 3/16 of an inch. Press and top stitch. Trim any loose threads and carefully press your new pants. Now we'll sew the hat. With right sides together, fold each of the base, hat 1, in half with the short ends together. Pin and then sew the small seam above the top of the split. Press the seam open and press the seam allowance of the splits to the inside. Press the hem edges 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch to the inside. With wrong sides together, baste the pair of crowns, hat 2, together around the outer edge. This will now be one piece. With right sides together and notches aligned, pin the top edge of one base, the outer fabric if you're using a contrast for the lining, to the crown, hat 2, and sew. With notches aligned, pin the right side of the other base to the wrong side of the crown and sew, sandwiching the crown in between. With wrong sides together, fold the long edges of each pair of ties, hat 3, 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch to the inside and press. Fold one short end to the inside and press. Fold each tie in half lengthways, press and edge stitch into place along the outer edges. Pin the raw ends to the wrong side of a base in line with the notch and sew securely. Pin the outer and inner bases together at the pre-pressed edges and edge stitch together. Pin the ties into position, creating a channel that will allow the ties to be tightened. Carefully sew the channel and continue it all around the base of the hat. When arriving at the other side, sew around the split using an edge stitch. Trim any loose threads and carefully press your new hat.